Chapter 11. A false balance is abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. When pride cometh, then cometh shame, but with the lowly is wisdom. The integrity of the upright shall guide them, but the perverseness of transgressors shall destroy them. Riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death. The righteousness of the perfect shall direct his way, but the wicked shall fall by his own wickedness. The righteousness of the upright shall deliver them, but transgressors shall be taken in their own naughtiness. When a wicked man dieth, his expectation shall perish, and the hope of unjust men perisheth. The righteous is delivered out of trouble, and the wicked cometh in his stead. A hypocrite with his mouth destroyeth his neighbor, but through knowledge shall the just be delivered. When it goeth well with the righteous, the city rejoiceth, and when the wicked perish, there is shouting. By the blessing of the upright the city is exalted, but it is overthrown by the mouth of the wicked. He that is void of wisdom despiseth his neighbor, but the man of understanding holdeth his peace. A talebearer revealeth secrets, but he that is of a faithful spirit concealeth the matter. Where no counsel is, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors there is safety. He that is surety for a stranger shall smart for it, and he that hateth suretyship is sure. A gracious woman retaineth honor, and strong men retain riches. The merciful man doeth good to his own soul, but he that is cruel troubleth his own flesh. The wicked worketh a deceitful work, but to him that soweth righteousness shall be a sure reward. As righteousness tendeth to life, so he that pursueth evil pursueth it to his own death. They that are of a froward heart are abomination to the Lord, but such as are upright in their way are his delight. Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. As a jewel of gold in a swine's snout, so is a fair woman which is without discretion. The desire of the righteous is only good, but the expectation of the wicked is wrath. There is that scattereth, and yet increaseth, and there is that withholdeth more than is meet, but it tendeth to poverty. The liberal soul shall be made fat, and he that watereth shall be watered also himself. He that withholdeth corn, the people shall curse him, but blessing shall be upon the head of him that selleth it. He that diligently seeketh good procureth favor, but he that seeketh mischief, it shall come upon him. He that trusteth in his riches shall fall, but the righteous shall flourish as a branch. He that troubleth his own house shall inherit the wind, and the fool shall be the servant to the wise at heart. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he that winneth souls is wise. Behold, the righteous shall be recompensed in the earth, much more the wicked and the sinner. Here we have an interesting thing, which was always a problem, and we don't usually have that problem nowadays. It says, a false balance is abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. In other words, being honest in everything you do is a delight for the Lord. A false balance. Now, in those days, what they would have is they would have what's called a balance beam, and it would have a way to hold it on the top, and then there would be a cross piece, and then there would be chains or ropes going down, which would have platforms on the bottom. And on one platform you would put a weight, and on the second platform you would put the item that you were going to sell, say grain. And when you held it, the amount of weight that you put on one side would tell you how much the grain weighed. Now, it was incredibly easy to adjust the scales, the balance beams, to be dishonest. And many people were worried about that, and many people did it. And he's saying here, you got to remember, this is the Lord talking. He's going to weigh you on a balance. You better hope that's a good scale he's going to use, not one that's like what you'd used. Most of this is pretty simple. There's a couple ones that I'd like to deal with here. One of them is chapter, let's see, I think verse 22, as I recall. Ah, yes. As a jewel of gold in a swine's snout, so is a fair woman who is without discretion. In other words, if you have a beautiful lady who has no thought for how she appears, and I'm not talking about her physical appearance, I'm talking about how she talks to people, the things she says, the things she does, the things she invites people to do, her attitudes, all the rest. If she has no discretion, then she is totally inappropriate. She is as inappropriate as would be to put a nose jewel in a pig's snout. Now, a nose jewel was a decoration, very common among Israelite women. It would be something like a gold button, gold or silver button, and it would be put in the nose to be very decorative, and depending on the skill of the person who made it, could be very attractive. But you would no sooner do that, put something like that in the pig in a pig's nose, it would be totally useless, than having a woman who was beautiful to look on, but had absolutely no sense of who she was, or how to live, or how to treat other people, or how to honor her husband, or to honor herself. All of those things that go with discretion. Not appropriate. In verse 25, the liberal soul shall be made fat, he that watereth shall water himself. In other words, if you are generous with other people, the Lord will be generous with you. If you give water, now of course water is very precious in the Middle East. If you water things, other people's things, then some water will come back to you. The Lord will recompense that. Verse 26, he that withholdeth corn, now remember it wasn't corn, just grain. In other words, the person who has an honest business selling grain at all time, even when there is a shortage. This is sort of the context in which this is. If you withhold grain because you speculate on it, people will curse you. But blessing shall be on the head of him that selleth it. In other words, the person who is honest in his dealings, and yeah, there might be a shortage, but you still charge a reasonable price, and don't take advantage of the fact that there is some scarcity. Verse 27, he that diligently seeketh good, the person who seriously seeks to do good, procureth, that means obtains, favor, what isn't said, is with God. But he that seeks mischief, the one who's trying to be deceitful, double-minded, do things behind people's back, the very same thing will come back to him. Verse 29, he that troubleth his own house shall inherit the wind. You know, those people who are real disturbers in their own house, real problem makers in their own house, will have problems. Now that doesn't mean that necessarily you won't, if you don't, that your children will be all perfect. But what it means is if you're a real disturber, a real problem maker, you can count on having all of the kids have problems through the second and third generation, probably. It is a great deal of wisdom in all of these Proverbs. Individually, they could be lessons, but they're just meant as short capsule lessons here, briefly stated, so that you get the point without a huge amount of extra to cloud it or make it harder to understand. But a lot of the images are Middle East images, not images of the logic that we are used to.